Hey everyone, this is Mike, and today we're going to be talking about how to use interpersonal psychotherapy for corporate wellness and business wellness, and the application of interpersonal psychotherapy to the business and work world. It's not going to be a very extensive, video today, because many of the same things go on in regular IPT. It's just where are they happening? And when people come in for IPT, very often they have interpersonal issues in multiple areas, and we tend to work on them wherever they occur. But a lot of times in the working world, people have a large part of their social life was in work. We noticed that during the pandemic with COVID, where people would stay home at first, and they loved it. I mean, obviously they didn't love being quarantined, but commuting from work. And now a lot of people want to go back because the routine, just being around other people. Even people that might think, well, when I was there, they drove me crazy. But there is something about that social contact, that interaction, that communication style, that is really important. And losing routines and those connections really has a way of isolating people. And that's why I think with COVID, this shows how important interpersonal relations are. And that's why I think IPT really has such a central role to play in people's lives and in therapy. So although I work with positive psychology and cognitive behavioral therapy and choice theory and reality therapy, even a little bit of the NLP and transactional analysis, IPT really has a significant part to play. So when people are struggling at work, very often it's relationships. When people talk about a workplace being toxic or dysfunctional, more often than not, they're really talking about the people. Could it be the structure and the rules? Sure, absolutely. But I think more often than not, people leave jobs not because of the job itself, not because of the work, unless it's just so totally what they don't want. Because if you feel welcome and happy to be there, valued, appreciated, if your interactions with people are positive and helpful, you're going to feel good. So in IPT, we help people do better on the job by working on their interpersonal communication style. We assess areas of their life where they are successful. What are the things that they're doing? Can we apply those to work? We do use techniques like assertiveness, being more assertive as opposed to aggressive. Working with choice theory, reality therapy from William Glasser, I talk about the caring and connecting habits with people, right? That's listening and supporting and respecting and accepting and avoiding. Those are some of them. And then avoiding the negative habits, which is threatening and criticizing and punishing and complaining and nagging, those kinds of things. We also look at, depending on what it is, so for example, if there's grief and loss, maybe a person lost their job, or they lost their position, or they lost promotion, or maybe they're going through a divorce. That can impact work. And we focus on those issues, not work specifically, because a person's going through an issue like divorce. That's the focus, but of course it has an impact in work. Clearly, if they lost a position at work, or they lost their job entirely, well, yes, then the focus is on the work, because that's what it's connected to. Role transitions are with young people going from student to worker. It's different. Many young people really, they feel imposter syndrome because they did very well in school. But there's a difference between work and school. The expectations are different, the techniques and the skills. It's not as academic. It's real world, and a lot of young people, and even older people, if they're transitioning, feel like they don't have the concrete skills. It's more theoretical and academic rather than real world and practical. And then there's interpersonal disputes, and that's probably the big one. That's where you have conflict with people, either your supervisors and managers or your peers and colleagues, sometimes even subordinates. And through again, brainstorming, problem solving, role playing, seeing how conflicts in the past were resolved, looking for all sorts of alternatives, as well as some cognitive behavioral stuff. Sometimes we just have to accept. There's acceptance, and we have to challenge demands. People should be a certain way. So again, that's why I incorporate multiple theories into my work. But ITP really does play a very, very important role. And by the way, in reality therapy and choice theory with William Glasser, love and belonging is one of the major needs that we have. And although all the needs in choice theory are viewed as equal, he doesn't. It's not like a hierarchy. You get the feeling reading Glasser that love and belonging, he believes, is probably, if there was one that stood out, it's love and belonging. Now, Viktor Frankl with logotherapy, meaning and purpose, and again, reality therapy has meaning and purpose. Usually under its power need for meaning and purpose, but different theories put different emphasis. But that's why I use all of them. So love and belonging and meaning and purpose are very important. And having some meaning and purpose in the job, and I'm going to talk about logotherapy and work in the next session. But IPT definitely has a significant role to play in work. Now, if you're working with someone and it's personal, work will probably come into play. If it's work, chances are personal stuff will come into play. So you can't just easily separate them. But again, there are unique things that if you're using these techniques for work stresses or work issues, then the focus doesn't have to be limited to that, but you want the emphasis. That's the presenting problem. You want to focus it on that. So again, when people are in positive, happy, healthy relationships, they just feel better across the board, and they're better at their work. They feel more motivated. They procrastinate less. They have more motivation, and they just feel better about being there. And people want that, and that's what this pandemic and COVID showed us. People want those connections. Not as a substitute. Work can still be work, and you have you can separate that. You don't have to. Some people combine them, but it really is important, and we learned that quite clearly during the past 2 years. So I hope this was helpful. Obviously, I can't give that much specific detail. It depends on the person, the job, what they're working for, what they're looking for. But broadly speaking, IPT has a role to play for sure. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video on logotherapy and the workplace. Speak to you then.